morning, everybody. My name is Brahman Menor, and I'm a teacher for Pranic Living and Enlightenment. And on this beautiful day, I like to do a satsang all about the Book of Life. It's an explanation about what life is all about. A lot of people struggle with this topic, so we collected most of the important questions and we'll share that with you. And try to feel the truth in your system, in your body. You listen with your mind, with your ego. Try to feel the wisdom in your side, in your body. Recognize it from your deeper truth. So, what was the first question?
So, before the questions, maybe it's best if you explain a bit about what you mean by the Book of Life.
Okay. Yeah. Life starts when part of the universal energy or source energy flows through a chosen path, through a book of life, to this planet, to connect with a body that's going to start here life as an experience. And it's not a choice, because the soul doesn't have to choose, because as an energy we're all connected to one. And it's like an octopus. Part of that octopus flows through that book of life and starts a physical life, and on the left another one. And like that we are all connected, always connected from our soul to source. So the book of life is a written path of life from the beginning till the end, from the moment we are created in the womb till we die. And everything, let me change position a little bit, yeah. Everything in the book is completely written. Let me make it a little bit darker. That's better. It's completely written. So the moment you are connecting as an energy, your book of life starts, and in that book of life is written who you're going to be, what you're going to be, what you're going to experience, with who you're going to experience that, like parents, for example. So that's the, let's call it, written book of life.
Okay. You say that we don't have a say in our Book of Life, that it just happens to us. Lots of people find it hard to believe that you don't have a say in it. Why then does the Indian philosophy talk about karma? Or why then do people have recollections about past lives?
Imagine that there are thousands of written books ready to start, and an energy flows through that book, and there is still no me, there is no I there. So as a source we are all one. So the me or the I or the ego starts when a child is born. From that moment on, the ego wants to decide. The ego wants to make decisions. So before that, souls don't want to choose. It's energy that flows through the book, and it starts there. And the moment it starts, our ego is creating experiences, and storing all the memories just to experience that what is written in the book of life. Even how you experience things or moments are written in the book of life. So, like believing in karma or believing in incarnation. I've done a lot of reincarnation meditation with people, and for example, a lot of them had been with the crucifixion of Jesus Christ. And I think I already did 200-300 meditations like that with people, and suppose there were 200 that had a memory of being with the crucifixion of Christ. There were just 10 or 20 people there at that moment. So the memory is a collective memory. It's not a previous life. Of course it's a previous life of all of us. We're connected to everything, and we're connected to everybody. So your memory is my memory, and my grandmother's memory is also your memory. So when you walk the path of life and you have an experience that's coming from the past, or a previous memory from previous life or an experience, it's the collective memory that you receive, that is already written, that it's connected to the book of life. So I hope you can understand that.
Yeah, so a memory of past lives is already written in your book.
Everything is written in your book.
Everything is written in your book.
There's no coincidence there.
No. So the idea of karma is just an idea.
Karma comes from India, and especially from that area, and it was needed to believe in karma and reincarnation as well, as an experience for the people that live there, as a country or as a region, just to experience that. We didn't believe in karma because we were Christian, for example. So every region, the Indians in America had a different experience. We had a different experience. India had a different experience. And due to the fact that we condition ourselves by reading books, we started to create that memory as well. And even that creation is in our book of life. So in the book of life is written that we're going to read books about karma, about reincarnation. From that moment on we can think that we remember or we receive those experiences. But again, it's written in your book of life. Nothing more, nothing less. It makes life pretty simple when you can accept that.
Yeah. You talk about that life is about experiencing different religions, experiencing different philosophies, experiencing past lives. And that we instantly share these experiences with Source, as we are always connected.
Mm-hmm.
Can you first explain what do you mean by Source?
Source is that energy that we are, or what most of us say, that we come from. Source is a universal, neutral energy. There's no male or female. It's a neutral energy. It is connected to everything on this planet. So it's our soul. It's connected to the animals, to the plants, with all the energy that connects materie with non-materie. And the non-materie is the energy. The energy is always the same. It's always Source, or God, or Buddha, or Allah, or it's that part that we really are. It's not the physical body. It's the soul. The soul as energy can never be contained in just a physical body. It's your life energy, it's your aura, it's always connected to everything. So you can never be disconnected from Source. The only thing that we don't experience in real life is that we are connected. That's because we have an ego, and our ego and our mind is always aware, always creating a story. And you can have an enlightened experience or an enlightened period. In that period your mind surrenders. That's not the silence in a meditation, it's really something, an experience beyond that. Yeah, you can never read that in a book. It's really an experience that you will have. Yeah, the moment you have that experience, you know what real enlightenment is. It's not the silence in a meditation or being connected or feeling love everywhere, because feeling connected or feeling love is still the experience of the physical body. When you go beyond that, there's just silent, just nothing. The moment you reconnect, you know that it's a truth. It's bigger than that. There are no words for the absolute stillness, the absolute nothing that we really are without a physical body. Beautiful question.
It's kind of a one-way street then, because we share our experiences one way, but we can't experience Source the other way, except when the mind or the ego falls away.
You are Source. Yeah. So there's no need to experience Source. The only way that, no, the only reason that we wanna experience Source is because of the memory that's taken away when our mind started. And that created a void of missing knowing of who we really are. And that's the reason that we live a life as it is right now, filling it up by buying things, eating a lot of food, needed to be entertained, having sex, needing partners in our life. That fills up the void of not knowing who we really are. Because Because when you really know who you are, you feel complete. You really don't need anything to fulfill anymore. It may be there, but there is no unhealthy need anymore. You can just live your life, including everything or without everything, including abundance or having nothing. It doesn't matter anymore. So when you have that experience, the book of life can be accepted easier and easier. You know that it doesn't matter, it doesn't fulfill you anymore. It is as it is. And again, to all of you at home, don't try to understand it with your mind. Feel what I share with you. You can recognize it from your inner truth, not with our head, because our head is always in between our knowing and our soul. So don't understand. Try to understand it. Just feel.
You said during your explanation of the Book of Life that we cannot change our experiences, nor change our view on those experiences.
Mm-hmm.
What are we then? Simply a vessel for experiencing? Nothing more, nothing less?
Well, life started with the question, what if? What if we hear these words? What if we're not connected? What if we feel pain? And without the experience, it's still a fantasy. How is it to have a partner? How is it to lose a partner? You really know it when you have experienced it. With everybody that's on the planet, having all the experiences day by day, second by second, it's always shared with source grows. And somewhere in the future we have done it all. We've walked the biggest book that your life and my life is part of. And it closes and it starts again with a new story. And that's the same here. It's all about just the experience that you have to feel every second. These words can create freedom, enlightenment, resistance, thoughts about what a bullshit. That's
Confusion.
all. Confusion. Or just acceptance. It is what it is. And it's all part of the same experience. So there's one experience and millions of people that experience it in a different way. And when we have experienced it all, there's no need to experience that anymore. So that creates evolution. It's part of evolution.
You did an earlier short live, and there you mentioned an example of, this is a long question, so lots of words. There you mentioned an example of wanting to create something, but it doesn't happen until 10 years later.
Yeah.
So for 10 years, that person might be wanting to create something, feeling frustrated, and it doesn't happen. And you can't even change those feelings of frustration.
No, you can never change your book of life. What you need to know, that you never know what your next chapter is. What I see, for example, in my retreats, that's the reason that I always say it's life-changing. After the retreat, or after this life, or after a certain moment, a new chapter in life starts. And that can be the complete opposite of the last chapters. So people that wanted to create needed to have the experience that they were failing, not creating, trying over again, having millions of ideas, trying it again and again and again and again, and it's failure and failure and failure for what you said, 10 years for example. And then suddenly your chapter closes and a new chapter opens. And you step into a chapter of flow and creation. It doesn't matter what you do in that chapter, as written, of course. But when there's written in that chapter that you will have abundance, you will meet your right business partner, the right ideas, the right investor. It can be abundance in everything in your life. But still you need to try. You can't sit and wait till your next chapter is starting. You need to still live your life as an experience. You can only hope that your next year or your next chapter is going to be different. There is no good or bad. No flow in life is not better than having a lot of flow in life. Because what you are experiencing, you're doing it for me and I'm doing it for you as well. So I had periods in my life that there was everything. The next chapter, there was totally nothing. No flow, no partner, no freedom. And after that chapter of flow again. And it was taken away again. Next chapter was without anything or losing everything. And it started again. So it's chapter after chapter after chapter.
In that life you said about this specific example, embrace your path of life. It's just what you're saying now.
Yeah.
Because what I hear you say is it's nothing personal. It's nothing that a person does right or wrong. It's not that when you fail, when you're not able to create, it's not because you do something wrong or...
No, absolutely not. It's all about experience.
It's written and it's about the experience.
It's written, it's about experience, and even the way you experience that moment is written in your book.
Yes.
Completely. Yeah. Otherwise we would experience every experience probably the same with all of us, so there is no growth anymore.
So if someone's watching now and they're in a part of their life where they're frustrated or sad or alone in this chapter of their life, how can they embrace their path if it's still about feeling sadness or frustration?
Yeah, that's the biggest challenge. The biggest challenge is really accepting the moment that you are in. And when you're in a period of flow and happiness, we can embrace that.
It's very nice.
It's very nice. It fulfills us and blah blah blah. And when it's a period of pain, periods that we grow even faster and with more people, because a lot of people doesn't experience life as very pleasant. There's always something triggering us. There's always a story of the mind. There is always being afraid of something losing, not having enough, thinking about pension, going to get sick or dying. So accepting life as it is only works where you can feel that you are always at the right moment, at the right place, with the right people, experiencing that what need to be experienced. When you can accept that, when you know that that's the real truth, it doesn't matter anymore. So the moment you step into a period of flow or abundance, it doesn't make you that much happier then. And it's a period of losing or fear or control, or doesn't make you more unhappy. It is as it is. You can really accept the moment as it is. But that's also training. You need to be aware that everything that you do, everything that you experience, is just about the experience. It's not about learning lessons or, no, it's just about the experience. And you see it like that, life becomes much easier.
You also said that we experience also for each other. Your pain is my pain, your happiness is my happiness. What if someone has experienced pain for a very long time and hasn't felt someone else's happiness? How can they, in their pain, experience someone else's abundance or happiness?
That's a question that I always hear. And as long as you don't have an enlightenment experience, knowing that we are one, most of the time we believe with our mind that we are one. The moment you know from an experience that we are one, you can accept your own path with the path of someone else's. So I can only bow deep for someone that has a really hard book, because their experience is what I don't have to experience. But the only one that's saying that is my mind. It's my physical body. I don't have to feel that pain. I can feel abundance, or like the other one says, I'm only feeling pain and sorrow, and whatever need to be experienced. And it's still the mind and our ego that's judging that. Why do I don't have this or that, or this partner, or that amount of money, or that spiritual life, or but it's all our ego, that our me that wants what it doesn't have in a positive way. The happiness and the flow and abundance, because that's what makes us happy. We think that makes us happy.
So it's the mind that creates the unhappiness.
It's always the mind that creates unhappiness. Absolutely right.
We are here on earth having a mind and a body, yeah, through which we experience life.
Correct.
We can, from the mind, believe that we are, that we have a book of life and that everything is perfect as it is, but it's still from the mind, so it's very fragile. And you have an experience that connects you with Source, everything that is, that believing goes to a knowing.
Not for everybody, because we are still conditioned 100%. So we also still believe in the books and the knowledge that we have taken in, and that's still part of the experience. So not everybody can accept the book of life when they believe in karma as it is, their lives and previous lives, and then that's still their experience. The more you can silence the mind or not listening to the mind, the easier spirituality or knowledge is, because Source is simplicity. We as human beings have made it very complex. That's why most of us, our spirituality is lost. Because we believe all the books and all the knowledge that has been written or explained. Most of the spiritual answers on these kind of questions are pretty simple. You just have to be here and experience. Nothing more, nothing less. You don't need to investigate or trying to get enlightened. When it's written in your book that you are going to experience enlightenment in this moment, you will.
And what does experiencing life looks like?
What does experiencing
life looks like? You have, on the one hand, for example, a person who is frustrated at the moment, not having a job, maybe not having a partner. He or she is feeling insecure, maybe scared. But it's all based on the mind, all based on stories of the mind.
As written in your book.
As written in your book. That's an experience.
Yeah.
And on the other hand, you may have someone that is aware of the stories of the mind. And he or she can experience the triggers, like you mentioned, without the stories of the mind. But that's also written in
the book of life.
Yeah.
Well, the moment you are aware of your book, there is no unhealthy need for things that are part of life. It doesn't fulfill you anymore. You don't have the unhealthy need to fulfill. Everything can be there. Money, partner, sex, everything can be there. But it doesn't fulfill you because there is no unhealthy need. That's the biggest difference when you have an experience of knowing instead of believing. Knowing is when you have recognized it. Believing is trying to understand it with your mind. That's the biggest difference. Most people on this planet live from unhealthy needs, live from fear or an unhealthy need to be seen or control or rules or sharing love. And still unhealthy. When you know who you are, what you are, that you are here just to experience, you can still do the same, but it feels for the physical body completely different. Triggers may be there, but there is no control of the mind, no control of the story. The mind is always there, the triggers will be always there, but the reaction is none. That's the biggest difference. Hard to understand.
You said it's hard to understand.
For most of us.
Yes, which is. I'm gonna challenge you now.
Please do that.
Can you maybe again, in short, tell that same sequence again? Because I do believe repetition can be, in different words, can be very helpful. As you say, it is complicated. The mind is there, it's like a filter. Can you maybe explain it just one more time, maybe a little bit differently?
Rephrase the question one more time.
Can you say what you said again, but in different words? Different.
Everything that I say in a moment, so I...
Okay. I don't understand. Can you explain it again?
Please.
The question, okay.
The question.
I forgot the question.
Me too. That's why I'm doing this in the moment and not 5 minutes ago.
Even kijken hoor. Let me see. Ah, well. Then we'll just leave it as it is. Then it's just fine as it is.
Or just rephrase it, whatever you want.
Can you explain the relationship between the mind, experiencing life, and the difference between believing and knowing?
All our books are based on what we are going to experience. So we store life and the memories in our physical body, negative but also positive, that's the conditioning, and the mind reacts on that. So when we smell good food, for most of us, not for me, most of us, we like to eat, and we know it makes me happy, or the taste is very good. When we see something that triggers us, violence, anger, or whatever is your personality, what can trigger you, we react on that in a certain way. The moment that you know who you are as a soul and not as an ego and physical body, you still have the triggers in your physical body, but the reaction can be controlled. And from that moment on, your life changes. The way you react, as written in your new chapter, the way you react on life, the way your story of your mind is created. You can zoom out. Look at yourself, seeing yourself being triggered, hearing yourself as a physical body, creating a story. There you can take control. There you can say, it's not needed, just let it be. Just let the physical body feel, but not react. Because the physical reaction, running away, buying things, sharing things, giving someone a hug, that's a physical reaction. And that's all based on an unhealthy need to fulfill. Each personality has one huge basic trigger where their whole life is based on. So when you know which personality type you play, which core trigger there is, you can recognize it in your life. And by having an, let's call it alignment experience, knowing that you are a soul, those two together is the real change. It's the real new chapter in life.
But still, only if it's written in your book.
Still, as written in your book.
Yeah, nothing you can do or...
No. There's no way to enlightenment. Enlightenment will happen at the right time, at the right moment, at the right location.
Or no way to controlling your ego, also.
Yeah.
Written.
It's written in your book. Well, let's explain a little bit about my life, because till I was 35, I had a let's call it non-spiritual life. I just was an entrepreneur. I was doing bodybuilding. I wasn't searching, and somewhere in my book started a new chapter. And that chapter said you're going to meet Source. One chapter closed and a new chapter opened, and I started talking about how can you believe in a God that you can never experience or never see. And when there is a source or a God, I invite it to stand in front of me and say, knock knock, show myself, and here I am. And 2 weeks later, that happened. Out of the blue, and a period that my ego fell away, my body fell in a million pieces, yeah. And then a bliss experience or an enlightenment experience. And after that, everything came together. That changed my life. That was my new chapter.
You did nothing.
I did
totally
nothing. I was exactly the same, at the right place with the right people, and it happened.
Yeah. You can't do anything.
There is no way to enlightenment. Some people are, for example, Sri Ramana was the guru in India who sat in a cave for 16 years, only chanting, who am I? Silence. And something popped up. I'm a beautiful soul. Thank you. Who am I? I'm a potato. Thank you. Still knowing that was coming from the mind. He did that for 16 years. Then he got enlightened. Suppose it was in his book that he was going to be a salesman for 16 years. I can assure you that he had the same enlightenment experience, at the same location, at the same moment on his timeline. Yeah. So it wasn't 16 years. People are now going to that cave sitting, who am I? That there is no path to enlightenment. It happens at the right moment. Can you do that sitting there? Yes, of course.
But that's also about the experience.
Yeah, people are creating beautiful meditations, beautiful retreats, beautiful, just to give other people the experience that they may have in that time.
Yeah.
So you never know what to do, what's right to do, or you always are at the right moment, the right location, doing the right thing.
Yeah.
So when you search for experience and say, well, I'm going to do everything, maybe you miss your enlightenment moment. The moment you give up, say, I don't know it anymore. Let's just start sailing or traveling the world or working as hard as I can. It can happen.
Yes.
So there is no way.
But also because it's written in your book. Not because you gave up, not because you did something,
No.
not because you meditated, not because you didn't meditate.
No.
But because it's your time.
It's your time. And for some people it is their time to have that experience by losing everything. Because your mind is trying to take control and there's total chaos and total fear, and you have a moment of surrendering. For other people like me, in complete abundance, it happened.
Yeah.
And I always say, Source reach out to you, it grabs you, silence the mind, till it happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. Last question.
Okay. One last question. It seems unfair to have a more difficult book of life.
Yeah.
To have a really hard life, having no choice. And to be honest, it doesn't make me very motivated to continue this life if this is what it is and won't change until I leave this body again.
That's right. I can really understand that. But still, very simple. You never know what your next chapter is going to be. So you can have let's call it a drama for the first 40 years. And after that you can have a complete enlightened life, or a life completely in flow. For some it's a total life in chaos or in pain or in fear. For others it's a life in total flow and abundance. For most of us it's up and down, having flow, losing flow, having love, losing love. It's all about experience. So what is fair and not fair, you never know till you die. What was in your book of life? So you can only hope that your next chapter is going to be better. And still you have to do your thing. And for a lot of people there is hope, there is change, and there is abundance. Everybody will have an enlightened experience. Most of us, only when we die, when we leave the body, we know who we really are. So you don't need to search, you don't need to hope that it's going to be now, because we all have that experience at the end. And you're really blessed when you may have, or you can experience it in earlier moments than when you leave this planet, this body. When you have that experience, it's so fulfilling. And although we don't have it in our whole life after the moment, the memory is still there, same as a mother that gave birth. It was a beautiful process. When she talks about that, when she thinks about that moment, she still feels that energy. She has the recollection of how it felt. And that's the same with having experienced an enlightenment moment, with the memory how it was. So memory that was taken away when you were born is back together with your soul that makes you complete. From that moment on, you can accept life even better, even make it simpler. There's more trust, more knowing instead of believing. So thank you for all these beautiful questions.
You're very welcome.
Yeah. And for all of you that have been watching, feel in your body if you recognize my truth. Feel how your inner knowing reacts on this simple truth. Simple life. Let it change your life. It changed my life forever. My first moment. All the knowledge that I hear, the answers are so simple. Spirituality became so simple. Life became so simple. There's total acceptance of life. And there's a knowing instead of believing. So I hope that all of you can accept that, can recognize it, recognize the energy, recognize the knowledge, the wisdom, and practice life in a different way. Let it be your new chapter in life. Thank you for watching, listening and feeling. Satnam.